Okay, so this is a subjective topic. What I find appealing about JoJo may not be the same to what you find appealing about it. Either way, I can say that there are some common aspects, like the art style, the audio, or the story. Today I want to go through some of the things that captivated me, that made me keep watching this legendary adventure, and the things that made me proudly say JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is my favorite series of all time. I'll briefly talk about each aspect, but if you're interested in a more in-depth analysis of each one, let me know in the comments. So without further ado, here is what makes JoJo's Bizarre Adventure so great. First, I want to talk about the art style and its legendary status across the anime industry. More specifically, the art style done by Davey Production. Not wanting to disrespect the original art by Araki, but the job done by DP is incredible. Still, I really like the manga and how unique it is and how it evolved through its serialization. But Davey Production took advantage of their work being animated and colored and blew my and I think everyone's mind with how perfect the transformation was from black and white. There are some similarities in art style between the anime and the manga. They keep the very muscular design of every character because when you are 12 in Araki's mind, you are a 35-year-old bodybuilder that only eats proteins and goes to gym 24/7. And they also keep the famous face lines that emphasize specific traits, like the chiseled jawline of Jotaro that can break diamonds apart. Besides this, Davey Production also uses a technique that made me love their way of doing the adaptation, the palette change. When an important event occurs, you go from this to this. It's such a cool way to say this shit is important, pay attention. It is also reminiscent of the way Araki did the manga cover art, sometimes changing the color of characters. This is one of the reasons of why the anime is more iconic for me than the manga. Another thing that they often use is the first person view. Like when Rohan enters the alley, you see the scene from his perspective. A cool hint? For first time viewers, this could seem kinda weird, but for us, veterans, who already saw the anime, that shot has a lot more meaning, being tied to the alley's weird power, the power being that when you turn around you get molested by a lot of hands. Like the manga, the art style in anime also goes through some changes, from this to this. You go from a rough, manly art that screams testosterone to a more bright color and slice of life-like art style. Even though it looks kinda different, it still has the same charm specific to DP and to JoJo. Another thing that makes JoJo great for me is the weird story. Araki, my friend, I love you and all, but you don't need to put your life on paper. I mean, a story about a vampire? Come on. Joking aside, the story is so damn weird and that makes it so goddamn epic. You start with two kids that look like they could be your parents, duking it out for reasons, to both of them gaining 3 times their body mates in only 7 years, and one of them turning into a vampire and continuing to duking it out. Then you have more vampires, this time they have an entrance theme like they are some wrestlers.
Oh my! Could it be? It is!
The Pillar Men.
Then you have some ghosts that can do your bidding and also protect you from your suicidal tendencies. Then you have David Bowie with a weird hand fetish who just wants a quiet life, and finally you have the kid with 2 dads, telling you drugs equal bad vibes. The story is so all over the place and that is why I love it. You can pick a random part, watch it and still enjoy it without needing to see previous or future parts. Even though I say that, don't you dare skip a part. If you do, you'll be labeled as a part skipper. Disgusting! Next I want to touch upon the audio design. From sound effects to the OTS of each part, the audio is impeccable. One example I would like to discuss is the famous 7-page Muda. This being an iconic moment from the manga, hence the name still being 7-page Muda, Davey Production had a lot of expectations to meet, and they delivered big time. The quality of the audio is remarkable, making you feel like each punch has true force and hatred behind it. The scene is then amplified by Giorno's theme playing in the background and with the iconic. This is only one example of how great Davey Production are at creating orgasmic sounds and utilizing them in such a perfect way. And you can't talk about audio design and quality without talking about the openings. The openings are, for many, the core of what JoJo represents as a series. When you think JoJo, you think memes and the openings. Like I mentioned previously in one of my videos, which I highly recommend you go and watch it, these two are the cornerstone of JoJo content on YouTube. And in all honesty, for good reason. The openings are, how do I put this, only compatible with JoJo. Let me elaborate. 90% of other anime openings are interchangeable within their genre. You take an opening from an anime and put it to another one, and usually it would fit. But with JoJo, despite the fact the openings are literally made for it, they will feel so out of place. They have this charm, this feel to them that screams It might just be me, but this is how I feel about them. Do you agree? Please let me know in the comments down below what is your opinion. And before you go on a rant about Chase being generic, don't. Yes, it has kind of a generic sound to it, but still fits perfectly to that part of the anime with the protagonist chasing after Kira. I almost forgot the most important thing about the openings, the villain invasion. Whenever the main villain's power is revealed, the opening changes according to it. This concept of the opening changing depending on story progression was so innovative, more and more anime started using it, understanding how much of an impact it has on the viewers. Like I mentioned earlier, you can't talk JoJo without the abundance of memes that it created, and what better way to talk about it than by showing you some of my favorites. Ah, good times. Last but not least, we have the thing that encapsulates everything great about JoJo in one juicy and gorgeous package, the fight scenes. You know how much I love them. You have the great art style, the exquisite audio, the wacky story, and the memes. You want to bring a friend or a family member into this cult, you show them a fight scene and they will be converted. A dog and a hawk fighting it out in a sewer, only in JoJo. A vampire turning immortal getting beat by a boy with a weird ball accessory, JoJo. A Frenchman not backing out from a fight, only in the universe of JoJo that could happen. I could go on and on about how much I love the fight scenes, but I already did a video, so go check that out. I would really appreciate it. I might even give you a kiss, you cutie. So these are some of the things that make JoJo so great for me. Like I said at the beginning, this is so subjective. If I were to put the importance of each topic I discuss in a graph, yours could look like this, or like this, and mine would look like this. But the most important aspect, the thing that makes JoJo so great is that it doesn't rely on only one thing. Other anime might have great visual but shit story, great audio design but deplorable art style. Not JoJo. It's great in every aspect. You might like one more than the other, but there is no denying that every trait, every detail contributes at creating this masterpiece. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe, and let me know what you think is great about JoJo. Also, and this might sound cliche, what's your opinion on what I've done so far? I'm trying to improve myself and I would love to get some criticism. So please, anything that I could improve or do better, let me know in the comments down below or on my Twitter. With that being said,